So, having had experience with postpartum moms in my health and fitness career and through social media, and then also having a personal journey with pelvic health physical therapy myself, um, I had this inkling and this thought process that I wanted to learn more and I wanted to know more and I wanted to specialize in pelvic health
Gotcha.
specifically. And so as soon as that opportunity came, which I look at that being laid off as an opportunity for myself, I really just jumped right back into school and I said, I'm going to do this and get done with this and then take all those skills that I've learned and then do something great with it.
This is Secrets for Success.
Welcome to the Secrets for Success podcast. I'm your host, Greg Todd. Thank you, as always, for joining me. Today, I have the dynamic duo.
Yay.
I have two amazing therapists, two amazing people that have been blessed to come into my life over the last 9 months, right? It's been 9 months or something like that.
That sounds good, right? Since March? Yeah.
So anyways, you guys are going to be inspired today. There's going to be so many things that you're going to learn. And I'm thankful you guys are here live in the studio.
Thank you for having us.
So Kylie, Austin, Tara, Sullivan, the creators of Mind to Body and Pelvic Ed, welcome to the Secrets for Success podcast.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So why don't you tell the people a little bit about who you all are? They're pelvic health therapists, but so much more than that. And can you just tell us a little bit about your journey as a therapist and really like bring us to what has happened over the last 9 months? Yeah, it'd be great.
It's been a crazy, amazing journey. So I've been a pelvic health therapist for 12 years. And right out of school, I went into the hospital-based outpatient system. And I started the pelvic health clinic for the hospital, got it going, and started with like 4 patients on my schedule. And then when I left 12 years later, we had 12 different locations across the valley.
Wow.
So grew that program and built a foundation in the community as a pelvic health leader. And I was debating on going out on my own. And my parents actually passed away and I got a tiny little bit of money and I wanted to do something that would really help my future with it. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just open a side practice, little cash side hustle, and I'll just see patients on the weekend and I'll still have my financial security job at the hospital because I'm a single mom and I don't have family and you need that safety blanket. I never planned on leaving. And I did. I opened this little office and I had met Kylie because I was teaching a guest lecture. I was a guest lecturer at the PT school at Northern Arizona University where she was just.
You guys met.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I did a guest lecture there and she came up to me and she was like, I want to be your student. And I was like, okay.
But that's totally her. Oh.
She's like, I went to school because I'm interested in pelvic health and that's why I went to PT school. And I was like, great. Yeah, you can. And I was, at the hospital still. And so she was doing a rotation at the hospital right at the time where I was like, I'm going to do this little side gig. And I asked her, what are you doing when you graduate? Because I'm going to be at the hospital 4 days a week and at my side hustle 3 days a week. So you could rent out my little room 4 days a week when I'm at the hospital. And she was like, okay, sure. Yeah, I'll do that. So then we went to Pelvic where we met you.
Yes.
And that's just a whole nother story in itself. But after that weekend at Pelvic with your inspiration, I went to the hospital that Monday and I put my notice in and she said, I want to buy in. So I sold 50% to her. We're now 50-50 partners. So I was only open 3 weeks by myself and then we've been running ever since.
Wow. What an amazing, well, we're going to talk about what has happened since, because there's a lot to unpack since. I think I would like to go back to a couple of things that I think are really important. There are people out there that are in a hospital-based system that have built something amazing for their employer. And I want to ask you about that a little bit. So the first 12 years of your career, that's what you did. Would you change it?
No.
Okay, because you know what? I wouldn't change my journey either. What do you feel? Because a lot of times I know I'm like, oh, go work for yourself, da, da, da. But what do you feel like the hospital did for you?
It gave me security so I could become confident in my skills.
Right.
I didn't have to worry about my overhead. I didn't have to worry about finding, well, I did. I did have to find the patients because it was a brand new program.
Right.
But I still had the security of a paycheck while doing that.
Right.
And I was able to become an expert in my specialty with that security blanket. It was also a nonprofit hospital, and I put my time in for the public loan student forgiveness.
Gotcha.
And so I also had my student loan forgiven after 10 years for working there full time. And so I truly believe, people had asked me, why aren't you on your own? Why aren't you on your own? Because people would seek me out to come to the hospital. But I was like, no, this is where I'm meant to be. And I got so much out of it. And it was everything had to happen that way for me to have gone out on my own.
Okay. Can we talk about some other things? And I think, like for me, I worked at Cora, was the name of this outpatient rehabilitation facility. And before I went out on my own with renewal rehab, I worked at Cora for about 1.5 years, right? And I started a brand new clinic with them. And I crushed it, okay? In 1 year, I went from 0 patients to 19 patients per day, average,
Whoa,
okay?
that's a lot.
And and it was, no, I'm sorry. They wanted me to get to 19 patients a day. By the end of the year, first year, I was averaging 27 patients a day in that facility.
Wow.
Now, it gave me confidence that I could do this. And so, although I do believe a lot of people could do what you did, Kylie, which is come out of school, out the gate and do it, for me, that gave me the confidence so that if you meet someone in San Diego, let's just say, allegedly, and someone speaks into your life and could hear I'm like, okay, it's time now. It's time to fly, okay? And you can, because you didn't have to take my advice on that, right? But you did, and you were able to fly, okay? And so I think that's important for people to understand that some of us just need the confidence. And you had already built, like, come on, can you not build one on your own? You did 12 for them, right? So, anyways,
I get paid for that either.
and you didn't get
No,
paid.
it's just
You get paid for that.
expected.
Okay, so now we talked about the good
Different
stuff.
story.
All right, so now we talked about the good part of that.
Yeah.
You got the confidence, and I can do it. Rah rah rah. Okay, now let's talk about, you're pretty much at the top of your game in the pelvic health world. Okay, you were able to help build 12 different locations, the staffing, this, that, da, 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 for a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the fact that the hospital alone wasn't enough. You had other things on the side, right?
I had 5 other jobs.
5 other jobs. Are y'all hearing that? Yeah. Why did you need 5 other jobs?
Well, I'm definitely one of those people who I'm like, it's only me. I'm only relying on me. So I can't just rely on this one job.
Right.
What if something happens here? Then I have to have this. Well, what if something happens here? Then I have to have this. So I just kept saying, yes, I'll teach that. I'll do that, because I needed that financial security.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
What we talked about today. So just to let you all know, Kylie and Tara are here for a weekend of working with me and my team. They're in my Platinum Mastermind program. And I think this part is really important, because this is actually something we talked about today together. Tara was at the top of her game skill-wise. Probably in the top 1% of pelvic health. Just go on. You can flex a little bit, okay? You're really, really good. She teaches a lot of people across the country. We'll talk about, some things that you do. But you were in a level 1 opportunity.
Yeah.
So because you were in a level 1 opportunity, even though your skill set is at a 9 or a 10, and your energy was giving a lot, you had to work those other jobs to make ends meet.
Yeah.
So I want everybody to understand that, like, when I'm telling you all, I want you all to leverage yourself. I don't care if you leverage yourself through building a brick and mortar, or you leverage yourself through building online, or in your guys' case, you built both. I need you to leverage yourself because it's really, really hard to live. It's really hard to live if you didn't have those other jobs. So I'm hearing that from you guys. You know, you guys know I work with, you know, Kelly. I'm just thinking of all the therapists, the public health therapists that I have worked with over the years, and most of them just couldn't get by with one gig. It's because they're in a level 1 opportunity, and there used to be a time where you could be in a level 1 opportunity in like 2002, 2005, and you can get by. But as a single mom, the way the world is now, it is really, really hard.
Yeah.
And so I just want to tell you thank you for trusting in yourself. That some crazy bald-headed black man told you, don't believe it. You guys said, I don't want to listen to him.
Right. So I was like, okay, I believe him. I'm drinking the juice.
Okay, fantastic.
But it was nice because, like, for me, always hustling on my own, to have Kylie come in, we did not know each other.
Right.
We were not friends, you know. I mean, not that we weren't enemies, but we weren't friends. We had never hung out. And we had met maybe, I mean, we could count the days we had spent together before we went into, like, yeah, let's do something together. But it was like a feeling, you know, you gotta, like, trust your gut. I had
Right.
that feeling with you. I had that feeling with Kylie. Like, I knew something more was gonna come out of it, and the timing was finally right.
Okay.
Everything aligned perfectly.
All right. Now I want to transition over to you. So thanks for the segue. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So Kylie, you are, I guess, technically a new grad,
Yes. So I graduated
but
last year in
Yeah.
December.
but you're not really new to, like, the world and how things work. So can you talk about your journey from even wanting to get into PT? What were you doing before? And I think that will kind of shed some light for everyone.
Yeah, like you said, I'm definitely a non-traditional student. So my big job has been mom of 3 boys. So that's kind of what I really focus on, is my being a mom to my sons.
Right.
But before PT school, I was first an elementary school teacher. So I have a few years of experience doing that.
Right.
Once I had my first son, and my husband is in the military, so we moved around a lot. I just didn't think that was a sustainable career for me. And so I went into the health and fitness world, particularly at-home fitness, coaching people and things like that.
Right.
I also got my certified personal training license, and then was doing group and personal training on the side.
Okay.
Then I got into nonprofit leadership management with the YMCA. And then, so when I was at the YMCA, unfortunately, COVID hit, and I was immediately laid off because I was in the health and wellness position at that time.
Gotcha.
So having had experience with postpartum moms in my health and fitness career, and through social media, and then also having a personal journey with pelvic health physical therapy myself, I had this inkling and this thought process that I wanted to learn more, and I wanted to know more, and I wanted to specialize in pelvic health
Gotcha.
specifically. And so as soon as that opportunity came, which I look at that being laid off as an opportunity for myself, I really just jumped right back into school, and I said, I'm going to do this and get done with this, and then take all those skills that I've learned and then do something great with it. So I wasn't sure. I didn't know graduating after I graduated PT school that I was going to immediately jump into buying my own business or being into a full-time business ownership. Actually, that was the opposite of what I told my husband. I go and get some PT school. I said, oh, no, I'll just get a nice job. I can be there for the kids, and then I can just, kind of work a little bit and not have to worry about anything. But
I definitely had that feeling, and then all the stars aligned, and I really was grateful to have met Tara. And I don't know if I told you this before, but like when I initially reached out to you as your student or as part of that lecture, I knew she was the best physical therapist, public health physical therapist in Arizona, and that's why I wanted to study under her. So like I knew that that's who I wanted to be with.
Okay, so there's a couple really unique things about you that have stuck out to me. It seems like when you know you want something, you just say, like, I want this. And there's this energy that you put out that makes, because I have to constantly have on my, it's not a BS meter, but it's a, like, who's going to waste my time meter. You know what I mean? And so I'm looking for certain things, and I'm looking for people that are assertive, right? And so now I'm hearing, I thought it was just me, but you went to Tara as well. You're like, hey, I want to intern with you, right? And I remember at the Pelvic event, you know, you were just like, a lot of people sometimes are nervous to come up to me. And you were like, no, I'm like, hey, can you do this? Or, you know, can I interview you? And da 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 da. And those things are powerful. Have you always been like that?
Always.
Okay, you've always been like
But
that.
I have a true, like, rooted belief that, and I love people, and I love connecting with people, and I also live by the motto: if you're not doing something that scares you every day, you're not truly living.
Right.
So I'm always trying to scare myself, and that was, I told you before, that was extremely scary to me to actually reach out
Literally,
to.
when we walked into Pelvic, she goes, "Oh my God, Greg Todd is here. I didn't know he was going to be here. I want to talk to him." Like, she was just so like, you know, fangirling on you. And the first thing she does is, "I want to interview you."
Yeah, that's really awesome. That's really awesome. And I say that because that weekend, whenever look, if I'm at home, I'll veg out, okay? And I'm an introverted extrovert, right? But when I'm on, all I want to do is serve people. But I want people to stick out and say, hey, listen, I'm going to extract as much as I can from this guy. You know what I mean? And you did that.
And I like energies, and I like vibes, and so I want to be around that energy, and you give that energy back too, right? So it's not that. And I also wanted to serve my audience, which was the APTA students.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that those people were served by you.
Okay, let's talk about something else as well. So you were in the online kind of fitness world, right? And we kind of have an affinity, you know, towards that. And you saw how non-healthcare professionals were serving people with health problems, right? And you saw how they were able to do it at scale, okay? When you went into PT school, while you were going through school, were there certain things like, what? I'm not really getting this. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't know it was going to be like that. Did you have any of those thoughts?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. Well, one, like, I feel like I was ahead of the game because I knew actually fitness.
Right.
So, like, it was very interesting because very little time was spent on how do we actually exercise with these people.
Right.
And so, and a lot of the hands-on skills and things and soft skills and things like that, none of that is really taught within our programs.
Right.
They're teaching you how to think, and they're teaching you how to, like, critically think, hopefully, and how to do research and how to, you know, memorize a lot of things.
So what do you think is missing? Let me ask you that.
Yeah, exactly.
What you think is missing now that, you know, you had this life prior, elementary school teacher, in the, you know, a fitness professional, helping people online, doing some personal training, et cetera, et cetera. Then you go to school. Now that you're out, what do you feel, one or two things, that school is missing and not equipping the students to be able to have?
Well, life skills in general, like just being able to just simply, what do you do after graduation? I'm sure many people struggled with, like, how do I write a resume? Or how do I come to my first, like, interview or appointment? Or how do I do an evaluation for the first time? I have so many friends that went through DPT school with me that are frozen in fear and not being able to translate all the skills that we learned clinically or in the books, and we read about the textbooks of what to do, but then when they're faced with their first patient, they're frozen. Yeah.
And to teach you that you have to get a 9 to 5 job. I mean, they don't teach you anything about business, like how to go on your own, how to market.
Or what leadership skills are necessary for the future and not necessarily the just the moment that you're in.
Right. Or even how to get what you want,
Yeah.
you know? Like, hey, what is it that you want? Like, what's important to you? You know, is it being able to be an authority in your community? Is it making money? Is it this, that, da, 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 da? It's like, you know, certain things that people want and how to actually get what you want. Like, I think you could do a masterclass on how to get what you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll go to the person. Well, it's something I've learned with my online fitness programs too. It's just like it's repetitions and like pushing yourself outside of your box just a little bit by little bit, and then you're gonna be like, oh, this is easy.
Right.
Like the first Band-Aid rip off, like that's gonna be the hardest part, and then once you've if I challenge myself to every person I meet, I'm complimenting them on something. Like
Right.
they're having those little interactions add up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Totally get it. So now you all meet. You start to say, okay, you know what? There might be something here, right? Who was the one that kind of spurred the whole Pelvic thing? By the way, shout out to Kelly Alhui.
Kelly.
Yes.
You did.
I saw Kelly's stuff.
I don't follow any business
Okay.
stuff. And that's kind of my chance. And she was like, I want to go to this Pelvic biz.
Yeah, Kelly and I met while I was in school.
Okay. Gotcha.
And so through combined sections meeting and things like that. So we had a relationship already online. And so I said, hey, let's go. Let's do this thing.
Well, you said you were going to go because, Mara, we weren't partners yet.
Right.
I said, well, I'll go with you.
Yeah.
The company will pay for it. Which I was up there.
Our first time our families even met, I think.
Yeah. And her husband watched my kid and her 3 kids while we were
went to San Diego together, and we stayed near each other and everything.
And I think that's when that weekend we were sparking more conversation about like, I don't want to be an independent contractor. I want to be a partner. I want to be an owner. I want to be more involved in this.
Right.
Yeah. I had started my own LLC just to kind of start collecting on an independent contractor fee. Like just do little things on my own. And I already knew that I had that skill set of social media marketing. And I had developed it and built it throughout my DPT school career because I, volunteered for anything to do with social media or leadership and things like that. And I was telling students the other day, I made my own job in PT school. I went to the NAU DPT program and I said, hey, I'm going to do your social media for you. Can you just pay me? Just give me some money for that.
Right.
And so they did. And I ran the social media for the DPT school and I showed improvement in numbers and things like that. So I built that skill set through school on my own, obviously. And then I was like, well, I have all of these business kind of skills that I can add to her actual ability as a pelvic health physical therapist. And my husband, of course, was concerned. He's like, well, don't you need to be, doing the skills first instead of building your own business? I'm like, she's gonna help me. And those skills are kind of already the soft skills that I've already possessed over the years. So
Okay. This is extremely important. Sorry, you were gonna say something.
I was just going to say, at that point when you met us, we had only been together 3 weeks. Yeah. That was brand new for us.
When we hadn't had a space even at that point.
No, we did.
We hadn't moved into the space.
Yep.
Because it was February when we went to.
No, we went in March.
You were 3 weeks in to that place.
Wow. Okay. There's something huge here that I feel like I need to tell everybody that's listening to the podcast. Those of you that are listening that are new grads or you are still in school and you're listening to this podcast because you're trying to, one day you want to create some business thing. Maybe you want to go online. You want to create a clinic, da, 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 da. Okay, I want to talk to you right now. So I need you to listen up, okay? Here is the key. The key, if you want to do this sooner rather than later, is to learn non-clinical skills. And you need to create it. If you want to have leverage in the marketplace, meaning that you want to make more money at a job, let's say you just want to be an employee, you just want to make more money at a job, you're not going to be able to position yourself as this clinical guru, okay? That does not happen coming out of school. It's not possible. You can't do it, okay? You just haven't had the reps yet. But what you can do is you can leverage yourself with non-clinical skills. And when I look at that, Kylie, I see you had non-clinical skills that Tara didn't really have. Tara had amazing clinical skills, but didn't have those skill sets. So she was able to see, wait a minute, we have something here. You had leverage in that area. You had leverage in another area where it's like, hey, I've got the client base, like, and I can teach you. And together it created this amazing union. Amazing union. So now let's talk about the last 9 months.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
That's a bunch.
Okay. And we kind of mapped it out today
Yeah.
of what that has actually looked like.
March 1st, we opened one space. It was 400 square foot space.
It was my side hustle.
It's just so we shared one private office. So it's hard to like have two full-time
The plan was never that we were going to be there at the same time. So we just had one treatment room.
Right. Okay.
And then 3 weeks after opening our door, we had already made $18,000. By the time we went to Pelvic Biz, we had made our 18 grand. So in 3 weeks of March.
18 grand. It's crazy. Okay. So that was by March.
Yes.
Okay, great. So they got up. Now, those of you that are like, oh my God, I get to listen, Tara had a really sizable following already. All right. She just needed to do her own thing. And automatically by default, not everybody was going to leave the hospital and come to her, but there was enough people that are like, you know what? I pay for certainty and I don't want to see somebody else. I would rather see you. And even if I have to pay out of pocket, I'm going to see you. All right. So just letting you know that if you haven't made $18,000 in your first 3 weeks, calm down. You haven't been doing this stuff for 12 years. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So now after that,
So April came.
yeah.
And we were like, well, both of us are working, so we both need an office space. All we could get was 2 doors down in the same building. We got the same identical office space, but for myself.
Gotcha.
And so that's my pink palace. I love it. And so now we had 2 spaces by that time, and we were doing great. And
That was when we came back and we started doing our first handful of workshops.
Yeah.
And then May was when we made still to this day, our best month, 50 grand.
50 grand in May.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're doing quite good, right? Okay. And they're off to the races. And then in June, they actually came to my event. They were already in like one of my entry-level programs called the Invincible Income System. They came to my event in June, decided to join my Platinum Mastermind. But what they wanted to do is something unique. It wasn't just their clinic. And I usually don't let people do this, but they want to do something. And when they brought the idea to me, I'm like, wow, this actually is really cool. So can you talk about what you ended up doing after June?
Yeah. So all of the things that we've been through with you, we're pointing to, we can't just sustain one-to-one practice all the time. Like
We were both if we're not there.
Yeah, and we were both already like feeling a little bit of that heat because she's working with 40 patients per week, and we're kind of we're like, where do we go from here? Because we're almost maxing out at a certain extent.
Great.
So we're like, no, well, she has these 5 jobs still. She did,
Yeah.
and she was educating people. Right. And she's still educating people. And now we are going to actually capitalize on that. So basically, we came up with the idea of Pelvic Ed. And Pelvic Ed is a online virtual residency program where we take a newbie or a person who is interested in doing pelvic health physical therapy or occupational therapy and becoming a good clinician in pelvic health. So they're going from textbook knowledge, maybe they took a course or maybe they took multiple courses, And then we saw that there was a gap between all the courses that she was teaching and the people that were actually getting into the clinic and being able to work with patients. And I'm seeing that my clinical skill set or my non-clinical skill set is a valuable transition between those two things.
Okay, so what can we talk about the gaps that you were seeing? I mean, one of the things you said is the non-clinical skill set, some of the soft skills,
Yeah.
right? And what were some of the other things that you're like, man, this is the reason why someone, like, they can read the books, they can do this, they can do that, but they can't translate it into turning it into patients.
Yeah.
What were some of those things that you were seeing?
A lot of it is just, you're so excited when you're taking that class, right? It's such a great class. And I still teach those classes. They're great. And I love teaching them. But I remember even when I was taking a bunch of classes, you take the class and you're getting it and you're getting all this information. You're like, this is so great. And then you get to work on Monday and you're like, well, that patient doesn't even have that. And then, well, this patient does. But what did they say? I have the knowledge in my head, but how do I apply it? How do I put that on, my hand skills or whatever we're doing?
And where we found that bridge is mentorship, honestly. And where all these new grads or people who are interested in pelvic health but never actually practicing in the field, they're not getting the mentorship either that was promised from their practice,
Right.
or promised from their actual residency program, which actually happens, and I hear this all the time. Or, just all these promises that were never fulfilled, because how do you get from that coursework, or even the addiction to the coursework and having that, I need a little bit more knowledge before I can feel confident.
They're just not able to practically apply it, but they have a lot of the book knowledge.
I think it's so important to have someone who says, okay, remember what we taught you? Remember that Bradley's loop, or remember, whatever it is. And now this patient is presenting this way. How can you apply that? And make them think about it. And then and that's where we try to bridge that gap of, okay, I have all the knowledge and I can actually apply it to the person.
Yeah, and we're challenging and holding people accountable to the actual getting those hands-on experiences.
Right.
One, through we actually created a pro bono clinic that people can come to actually have those hands-on experiences. And we've taken several members of the residency program through full plans of care with pro bono patients.
Wow.
Yep. Who had never had a patient.
Who had
taken several courses, but was still doing ortho because they were too scared to actually apply it to the pelvic patient.
Okay. You all are actually pretty brilliant. So there's a couple things that I'm seeing here. All right. Number one, guys, this is how you come up with a great offer. And the first time that they released this offer, they were able to get, I think, 6 or 7 people to sign up for. Is that right? Okay. Which is really, really awesome. So let's talk about a few things that they did. All right. Let's break this down. So number one is they saw a gap in the marketplace. So what's the gap? The gap is that people weren't able to take their book knowledge and turn it into a practical value, meaning serving people through pelvic health conditions that they had. Why? Well, this is what I've seen. What I'm seeing is that there are 4 levels of learning. And it looks like most people were stuck at level 1 of learning, which is learning about the thing. Okay. So learning about the thing is what we primarily do in school, right? And it's just accumulating book knowledge. Okay. The next level of learning is learning how to do the thing. All right. So that takes usually some systems and framework. But in order to learn how to do the thing, you have to see someone that's actually doing the thing on someone else, right? Enter your pro bono, clinic, right? Then let's take level 3 in learning, and that is actually doing the thing. So the fact that you guys were able to help people that maybe couldn't afford regular pelvic health, services. So yeah, this pro bono clinic, and they're just grateful for whatever help they can get. And it's allowing your students to be able to actually go to the third level of learning, which is doing the thing, right?
Mhm.
And then the goal is to get to the fourth level of learning, which is kind of where y'all are at, which is mastery, right? You've done the thing so many times that now you can actually do the thing nearly subconsciously, right? Like right now, if I went down to tie my shoes, I could probably still do the podcast episode because I know how to tie shoes subconsciously. I mastered the tying shoe skill, right? So you've mastered that skill, and that's the gap that you all filled in the marketplace. That's really cool. Okay, so now you have mind to body, you have Pelvic. And you guys, they started in March. Now, can we talk to everyone about the highs? We can talk income. We can talk whatever you all are comfortable with.
Yeah.
And then let's also talk about the lows. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we definitely have had so many highs. I mean, more highs than lows, I would say, more highs than lows. The launch of Pelvic, so like that was obviously our first launch, and so
And that's virtual. I don't know if we said that. Yeah, that's the official residency.
yeah, and I just love because we meet every other week with these individuals on Zoom, and I love the stories coming back. Like, I never understood it until you said it that way. Or I was able to treat my first patient today.
Or I discharged someone today.
It's just like amazing. And then like all of these people, so the people we actually hired out of of our program, so Pelvic Ed. So we found a PTA and we mentored her through the program, and we said, well, why don't you work for us? So, and then a few of them started their own businesses while they were in the program with us.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
You guys have your own, you have your recruitment in-house. You know, Trace?
So now I think also for my high personally is that we've done well with those 2 locations that we discussed earlier. Then we made a partnership with another location that's closer to my home. And it also worked out that we're able to now have a second location in that location. And then we have big news, which is really exciting, right?
Yeah, we're opening up an actual clinic now. So we're not going to have 2 separate rooms. We're going to be together. And we're going to have 5 treatment rooms and an open gym. So we're just so excited about that. And we want to do more community events. And I think the highs for me have just been there's so much more freedom to be with my son, not having to ask my boss for PTO or to leave early to take my kids somewhere or to take the day off because he has the day off from school. Like that freedom is just priceless.
Yeah.
The lows, I think, I mean, the lows are the insecurity of it all.
Right.
Even though I have 100% faith in us and I have faith in Kylie and I have faith in myself and the universe and that my parents are watching over me and that I have zero doubt that we're going to be successful and meet all of our goals. But you never know what could happen. And it's scary.
It's
and
not guaranteed, and it's a lot to start a business. And I mean, we try to best prepare ourselves, but and most businesses don't take in any money during the first year. We've been fortunate enough to get some money from, be able to support ourselves still through this process.
But at the same time, because we are trying to grow, we've put all that money back in. So, we're not taking home $10,000 paychecks a month or anything like that at all.
I haven't been able to pay, like, as far as like your salary that you were replacing, we haven't been able to pay that necessarily yet, but it's an investment.
I think this is very important for people to understand. Can you let them know how much revenue you guys are brought in the first?
Right now,
Yeah.
we're at around 250,
I think so.
in
Yeah.
8 months.
Okay, so I need everybody to hear this. Everybody listening, I need you to understand they brought in $250,000 of revenue in their first 8 months of being open, okay? And I go back to when I went into business for myself. I put down $180,000 is what I took out and I didn't have that money, okay? But I took that out on a line from my house, okay? 100,000 of it is what I use for the business. And it took me 5 years to pay everything off because I was constantly reinvesting. I was constantly reinvesting. But then it got to a point where I was basically bringing in like 125 grand as my base salary. This is like 5 years later, right? My base salary, about $2,000 a month in just business stipend, right? And all the other perks that came with it, but it took time. And I think if you guys would have played a little smaller, I think you probably could have gotten your salary.
100%.
But the problem is that you're not playing small,
We're not.
right? So people are like, oh my God, how do you make all that revenue? It's not just about the revenue that's coming in. It's about the investments that are going out in order to create this vision of what you all want to create.
Yeah.
And I think it's extremely important for us to understand that it's not just having the skill set to be able to do business. I feel like you have a great communication skill set. You have a great communication skill set. You have a great clinical skill set. You're obviously learning from her, and your clinical skill set's probably better than every single pelvic health new grad on the planet. Okay? All right.
Even
Okay, great. So all that's good, right? Fantastic. But what you both have together, you probably feed off each other, is you've built a really good investing skill set. And so you want something that's bigger than just, and this is really hard to do, working for somebody for 12 years. I have to be honest with you. It's like the minute that some money comes in, like you want to go into a fear-based mode. Like, oh my God, we got to hold on to this. Okay, I got my salary back.
Yeah.
And you haven't done that. So I really want to applaud you for that because that's a really, 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 big deal. So I'm just really proud of you.
Yeah. So it says like I'm a natural entrepreneur and I understand that part of it. That's not something that comes naturally for her, but that's why we're a good partnership this fall. I feel like, I mean, I was able to build that program because I had the security of the hospital behind me. You know, like going out on a limb and doing it was not something that just came naturally for me. But I'm also the type of person that's like, well, if I'm in it to win it. Like you're going to get it all. Like that's what I would rather cash out 2 IRAs, which I did to pay the bills because we didn't pay ourselves that month because we put investment back into the business to get to that long-term goal.
Right.
So I'm willing to take those risks because I believe in it. And if she's willing to look at the big picture or where this is going in the future as an investment, and we are building an asset for our families and for ourselves, and I think that's really important. We keep our minds on that.
Right.
But I feel very blessed and lucky that all we've really had to put into the business was we put $30,000 each into the business, but we've gotten that so much in returns.
Yeah. There's one other skill set that I think both of you have. And I want everybody to understand this. I've talked about the communication skill set. I think it's extremely important. I think most of you, unfortunately, just don't have that skill set yet, which is why you struggle so much with conveying what it is that you actually do to give value to the world. And I think your communication skill set is not where your clinical skill set is. And so that's why you struggle so much. So just telling you that so you guys know I love you. I love you, but I'm just keeping it 100. You don't have that yet. You got to build that. Okay, great. So we talked about the communication part. We also talked about the investing skill set. Okay, both of you, have been able to feed off of each other. You both have it enough that you're able to say, hey, I'm going to take out 30K from me. Hey, I'm going to take out 30K. All right, let's do this thing, right? But what I see that both of you have is a visionary skill set. Okay? By the way, those are the 3 skill sets that you need to be an entrepreneur, to be, right? So it might maybe come more natural to you or this, that, what, but you both have it. You both have it, and you see a big vision for what it is that you want to do. And so anyways, I applaud you for it. And I'm really proud of the both of you. Is there anything you want to share to maybe new pelvic health therapists or new entrepreneurs? I mean, y'all have done everything. You're so Jamaican, right? Like, or new online business owners, like maybe one or 2 things from each of you.
I think for me, having a partner has been amazing. I mean, she's the backbone of the business and I rely on her so much. And I think if you are going to be an entrepreneur and you're going to have a partner, like make sure you appreciate your partner, make sure you respect your partner, know their strengths and trust them in that process. And I think for her and I, like, we've never had a big, nothing ever big has, we've never had like an argument or anything like that, but we've definitely been on different ends of the spectrum of wanting to move forward or understanding each other.
You have to have those difficult conversations.
We are self-honest and candid with each other, and there's no sugarcoating it, but still very respectful. And we're just like, this is where I'm at, and I don't understand where you're at. Can you tell me? Get me there.
Yeah.
And she's patient with me because we think different.
Yeah.
And if it's business wise, she'll have to say it 5 different ways until I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, that's cool. Do that. And then it's that easy, So I think if you're gonna choose a partner, like,
It's like a marriage.
it is a marriage. I know. Well, we're signing a 5-year lease, and I was like, I've never been in a 5-year relationship before. I'm like, I told everyone I'm getting married to Kylie. We're signing papers and everything.
You have to trust each other, and you have to be willing to have those tough conversations. So that's not easy for me. Like, it's something you have to practice and really be. And luckily, I have a good partner to practice with. But and she pushes me as well to say, like, and you need to say what's on your mind. Like, you cannot hold back on like something like that and
Yep.
let things like get resentful or frustrated at any point in time.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if you guys know this. In the businesses that I have, I actually have 2 active businesses right now with partners. And Renewal Rehab is a partnership. And I'm very thankful for that partnership because it forced me to learn how to communicate. I think by default, I'm actually a people pleaser. And so I want to just usually take on everything. I don't want to get you upset. Let me just deal with everything. But I've had to learn how to have a lot of those tough conversations. And having those tough conversations might be easy in a relationship over here with my best buddy. It might not be as easy in a business relationship, et cetera, et cetera. So anyways.
Well, I'm like the opposite. I have to like reel myself in and like, oh, I can't just say everything that's on my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just 2 different people from 2 different walks of life that have a common vision and have dreams that can support one another. And you've used entrepreneurship to basically get there. I think it's just, to me, it's just really one of the coolest stories. So
Yeah, thank you.
anyways, thank you guys for being on the podcast.
Coffee.
Can I just honor you both with a couple things before we finish? First, you, Tara, I just want to say that I'm really proud of you making a decision and not a choice. And I gave you some what I felt was wise counsel based on just I'm really good off of energy and vibe. And I didn't know you for very long, but I said, hey, I think you need, actually, I didn't say I think you need, I said, you need to do this.
Yeah, oh, yeah, but I did. You're like, you're a fool if you don't do that.
And a lot of people make choices. Very few people make decisions. And to make a choice is to say, okay, I could do this or I could do that, right? To make a decision is to decide. And D is cut off all other possibilities.
Yeah.
Most people don't decide because it's like, I make a choice. Okay, this is not good today. Here, let me just make another choice over here. You made a decision, you did it, and you never looked back. So I just want to honor you for that. I think it's amazing.
Appreciate it.
Kylie, I want to tell you that I have worked with many, many, many people. I've had, thousands and thousands of clients. Very few have I seen with the level of grit and the level of intention. And in a world where there's so much flip-flopping, it is nice to see someone that actually knows what they want and says, I'm going to go for it. And the level of confidence, you might struggle with confidence like crazy, but the level of confidence that you exuded at that San Diego event, I knew leaving that event that I was like, I don't know who this lady is, but I was like, I'm gonna do whatever I can to make sure she wins. having no clue you were going to be a client or being this or being that, but it's because of your disposition. Okay. And I talked about this on a podcast recently. You know, I like if someone has a problem with your position, really, that's their issue, right?
Mhm.
Okay, we're all different, right? But if someone has a problem with your disposition, that's actually my problem, right? Okay. And you have such an amazing disposition, and it makes people like want to go to bat for you. Just want to let you know that. So anyways, both of you, super proud. Thank you for being on a Seekers for Success podcast.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Love.
That was